Okay, guys, we want to continue to keep you updated on the unfolding situation in Minneapolis. Fox's Connor Hansen is out live there on the ground, so I want to go out live to Connor and see what is happening. Connor, thanks so much for joining us. Tell me where you are there in the city, and what are you seeing with any protests right now? Are there any around you?
Hi, Ariel. Well, just to give you some context, we're standing about a half a block away from where this shooting happened. You can see right behind me a little bit of a traffic jam at the moment, but they actually have sort of a makeshift barricade on every end of this block so cars can't drive through. There's also a memorial for Renee Good, the 37-year-old woman who was shot and killed here just yesterday. There's a few dozen people right behind me, but a larger group further down. They've been moving around. There have been other protests around the city, one at the federal building as well, and at some points with hundreds, if not thousands of people, and all of that started yesterday, almost as soon as that confrontation began. Even before the shooting, protesters were around this area. Then, of course, after the shooting, things got extremely tense here between protesters and those federal officials. Then later on, local police here. Notably, there isn't really a police presence at the moment here. That might be by design to reduce any chance of conflict, but we'll be keeping a close eye on this if it continues to grow into the evening.
Connor, I'm curious, you know, we've seen dueling narratives shape this shooting, one from Minnesota leaders, another from the White House and leaders there. So I'm curious, can you break down for people who may be just joining this story, what are both sides saying and where do we move forward with this? What's the latest from Minnesota?
Well, Ariel, there's been a lot of tension on that very point. We've seen the Trump administration officials come out and call this shooting an act of self-defense, some even going as far as saying what Good did was an act of domestic terrorism, trying to ram those ICE officers or ICE agents. But local, state and local officials here, the mayor and others, the governor, say after watching the videos of how exactly this played out, they think it tells a much different story and they want a much deeper investigation into what actually went down. Obviously, those videos have circulated pretty widely at this point, and people are drawing a lot of their own opinions here. Of course, this will eventually be up to investigators to decide, but the latest news on that is the Minnesota state investigators are saying they're no longer a part of this investigation. They're supposed to be working alongside with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney investigating this shooting, but they came out today and said the FBI notified them that they're just going to be handling this alone, and the State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension will have no part in this. They say they have no access to the evidence, interviews, and any materials from this scene here. Governor Walz came out at a news conference earlier today, very critical of that decision, saying the state investigators need to be a part of this investigation to give some more assurances to the people here. The FBI has come back and said the state doesn't have any jurisdiction since this was an alleged attack on a federal agent. So that's likely going to be the source of a lot of tension here going forward to gather around the city.
Connor, thanks so much for that context. You know, another question I want to address, just because I am seeing it here in our TikTok chat and something people are talking a lot about. Some have said that Renee Good was leaving her own driveway at the time of this and she was not there to protest. Have you heard anything about that? Do you know if we have anything confirmed on that front?
Well, I'd want to be careful on that topic exactly as this investigation kind of progresses. I can tell you the narrative from federal investigators and the Trump administration is that Renee Good was in the middle of the road blocking those ICE agents who were trying to leave the area after they'd carried out their activities here on the block. But you're right, there have been some conflicting narratives about that as well. So that'll all come out in the investigation, we'd hope, as they look into not just this shooting that played out, but everything that led up to it.
Awesome. Connor, I so appreciate your time today, letting us know where things stand. Thanks for a live look on the ground there in Minneapolis. We appreciate you, Connor.